Hello, is breastfeeding painful? I'm really sorry. There is nothing more challenging than welcoming home your newborn, getting over the shock of labour and birth, settling into this newborn bubble, and being in pain in your boobs. Nothing worse. If you find this video and you're in pain, hopefully some of the things we talk about today will help you to find some relief. Disclaimer before I begin, I am an International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, IBCLC. However, the information I give out online is just general, so it's really important that you check in with your own IBCLC, GP, health visitor or midwife, or if you're in America or any other countries, whoever may be relevant medically speaking. Please don't take my word as gospel, because without taking a full history, knowing your exact circumstances, I can only speak in general terms. So please know that's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's go on with the video. My name is Lucy, by the way, I don't think I said that. So painful breastfeeding. If it's very early on, you're in the first week or so of breastfeeding, or things have been painful from the beginning and haven't got better, then it's very, very likely that what you are dealing with is latch related, and that is something to do with the way the baby is going to your breast is possibly slightly squiffy, for want of a better word. And there are lots of things that we could do to improve this. My first video on YouTube was a very basic guide to positioning and attachment. So I'm still figuring out how all this works, but I'll try and put a link somewhere. I think you can link videos here. I will have a go at that. Anyway, do check out that video. But for a quick recap, we need you leaning back because it lengthens your torso. So really, I mean, I can't go back any further without moving the laptop. There we go. Really lean back. Imagine you're in line, kind of reclining in a hospital bed or on your sofa. Make sure that baby is mega close to you, all of their chest and all of their tummy smushed into your body. You may even need to tuck baby's hip or bottom under your breast that you're not using. Make sure their hands are free, because if their hands are screwed up in the middle, they can't get close to you. They need to have open hands so they can get close. See, baby's now touching me here. No fingers on the back of the head rather. So the head is free. You're only supporting them around the neck. Really important. And you're going to line them up so the very tip of their nose is in line with your nipple. And then if you want to, push gently so the nipple moves towards your fingernail. As baby latches, push that nipple into their mouth. Flipple. We call this the flipple technique. If you do those things, chances are that breastfeeding will be more comfortable for you. If it's not, try something called breast shaping. So if you were to eat a big burger or a big sandwich, you would want to squash that nice and flat in order to get your mouth around it. Same applies to babies, particularly if they have little tiny newborn mouths and we have bigger breasts. Some of us are blessed in that department. It can be super helpful to shape your breast. The trick here is to make sure that you are shaping in line with the baby's smile. So if you're doing the cross cradle position we just spoke about, you're going to make a U shape because you want your thumb to be opposite the baby's nose. Okay, so you're making it nice and narrow so baby can get over. If you are feeding in an upright position such as koala or biological, you're going to squeeze that way. Again, so your thumb is kind of opposite baby's nose. Make sure you are scooping your fingers right underneath the breast, because if you shape kind of like this, your fingers are going to get in the way of baby's chin as they latch. We need you to be quite far back. You can do quite a lot of squeezing. As long as you're not hurting yourself, give it a good squeeze and hold the squeeze after the baby latches on. Keep hold of your breath when baby's feeding. You may find you can gradually let go as the feed goes on, or you may find that you have to keep shaping your breast. Both is okay, as long as you're being mindful of any blockages or sore spots that are developing as a result of the shaping. It's a bit of a fear people have that if we do breast shaping, we're going to get mastitis or blocked ducts. Doesn't really seem to be founded in my experience. However, I can't guarantee that this wouldn't happen for you, so do go careful with it just in case. But nice firm breast shaping and holding that breast throughout the feed. You won't have to do this forever. This is just where your baby is little. They need to grow, their mouth needs to grow, you need to figure out breastfeeding together. Breast shaping can, for many people, be really helpful. Okay. The next thing to talk about is if you have open sores, wounds, cuts, cracks on your nipples. The recommendation that most people will give you now is to wash any open wounds with just some mild soap and some warm water a couple of times a day. You've probably heard that you don't need to be washing your breasts if you're breastfeeding, and generally that's true. But when you have an open wound, bacteria can get in, and bacteria getting into the breast can cause mastitis. So we need to keep things nice and clean. You don't have to obsess over it. Just when you get up in the morning before you go to bed at night, quick wash, mild soap, warm water, just to keep things tickety-boo. You may want to use nipple shields. Some people use these, lots of people use these. They are overused, and you can check out my nipple shield video on my thoughts on these. If you're going to use a nipple shield, you need to be getting good support with the latch, because if breastfeeding is hurting, something isn't quite right with the way baby's going to the breast or the way they're feeding, and this may lead to what we call ineffective milk transfer, which basically means the baby isn't getting the milk that they need. So if you are having pain, don't just get a nipple shield without seeking some really good support from a breastfeeding counsellor, a lactation consultant, or a lactation trained midwife health visitor, infant feeding coordinator, whoever is around in your area. Make sure they are well qualified to be supporting you. If you're getting good support and you want to use a nipple shield just to help your nipples to heal, that's okay, although it's worth saying that if you can get to the root of the problem, if you can improve the latch, you will probably find that the pain is gone enough that you won't want to use one of these anyway. We often see pain go from a 7 or an 8 to a 1 or a 2 or a 3 once we improve latching without using a nipple shield, because once the baby's latching well, your nipple is resting on the soft part of their palate further back. That's not going to hurt, it's cushiony and soft. So get some really good support with positioning and attachment alongside one of these if you're going to use one. They're not the devil, they're not the Antichrist. They have a place, but just make sure you're getting really good support with them as well. Okay, and actually really good support is kind of key. So often people think they've had really good support. You may think that your midwife or your health visitor or even your GP knows the most about breastfeeding, but actually the likelihood is that the people who know most about breastfeeding will be the peer supporters, the breastfeeding counsellors, the lactation consultants who are out in your community. Peer supporters and breastfeeding counsellors have both breastfed, so they have direct experience of breastfeeding and they're passionate about breastfeeding, which is a really useful benefit when you're seeking somebody to support you, to know that they are passionate about the topic at hand and they have direct experience with it. Many of them are called to supporting breastfeeding because they had a hard time themselves, so they often have a lot of empathy and they're trained in listening skills. They also don't have a huge caseload of people they have to work their way through in a certain space of time. If you go to a peer support group or call a breastfeeding helpline, the person you find there is going to give you all the time in the world. And often with breastfeeding, what we need more than anything is time. It really is so important. So I hope this video is a little bit helpful for you. It's just a few basic tips and tricks to help you with improving your pain, but do continue to seek well qualified support and don't assume that the healthcare providers assigned to you are the right people for you in this instance. For lots of people, they're fantastic, but if you're having some problems which just aren't getting better, do consider seeking further support. And I mean, peer support groups are amazing, whether you're having problems or not. I always recommend that we go to them and get our tea and our cake. So please do reach out for help if you need it. But remember those things I spoke about. Go over this video again if you need to. It's what it's here for. And let me know down in the comments if it's been helpful, if it's made a difference to you. Consider liking and subscribing. This is, as I said, a new channel that I'm working really hard to build because I would love more people to be able to have access to this sort of support. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everybody.